historic Lyric Theater in Birmingham. And I have a very special guest here to talk to me about some of the things that he knows all about this amazing place.
It's amazing, to say the least. There's no
Yes.
question. So it wasn't amazing for a while. I mean, it was in ruins.
Yeah.
Really. And so Glennie Brock was heading up an effort to restore this place and reached out to myself and my brother to try to get the word out to our listeners, right, to donate. And so she wanted us to come down here and take a tour, which we did, and it was really sad and depressing. I mean, it was dangerous walking around. The floor was like falling in places. There were some seats somewhere in some places, but other places were not. Water was pouring in the ceiling. This is funny-ish now, but there was a huge curtain that was closed, and it just said asbestos
Oh my.
on it, like an advertisement
That's comforting.
for asbestos. It was the craziest thing ever. But we walked around. I didn't even know if we had hard hats. I don't think so. And just looked at
At any
everything.
moment, you could just go through the floor.
Yeah, but the history of the place superseded like any of the nastiness or like. But it seemed like too tall of a task. I'll say that. When we came in and walked through, I thought, there's not enough money that could repair this kind of. Like it would have to be torn down and just rebuilt. But holy moly, they, not only came up with the money, but then it, I assume, is more pristine than it ever was.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Obviously goes back to, this was a black theater, and then it was a segregated theater where it was a black section and a black entrance, which you can still see.
And it was the first where, in Alabama at least, where whites and blacks actually could watch it at the same time.
Right.
Just segregated.
Yeah, separate but not equal.
Not, yes.
But the history of just like that, and so like white people generally would go to the Alabama theater, and then black people would come over here, and like on that first tour, got this ticket stub, which I just found under a seat, and who knows? I mean, they said they from the early 1900s.
40
at some
cents.
point, yeah, 40 cents, which seems a little pricey, but it's just so cool. So now that it sits at my house in a frame.
Yeah.
And
That's so
I just, I love it so much.
So, something interesting that I did not know until I started researching was when they first built it, that there was actually, well, not only they kept 2 tons of ice under the stage and used fans. That was the air conditioning.
Right.
And then there was also a huge water tank, because there was a removable panel on the stage, and then there was a water tank where they would do like water shows and acrobats and stuff.
I think I heard that.
I mean, that is...
It is crazy.
Because you don't even see that these days.
Right. When you walk around this place, and especially backstage and down below in the basement, which is like some of the green rooms. I mean, a lot of times the green room is just the basement, but they make it like really nice. You can just feel the history.
Yeah.
And just like, how many historic figures came through this place and were standing right down there and right on the stage. I mean, there's not a time that I've hosted an event from the stage, which I'm very lucky to have hosted a lot. There's not a time where I'm just not like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And the acoustics, it's perfect.
I mean, as a theater person, to be able to perform on here one day would be less like a dream for me.
Right. Like microphones not included. You just don't need them a lot of times for stuff. And now, I mean, there are posters that shows who all's been here since it's reopened. So it's got now this new life to it that's bringing in now all these new historic figures. Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, I don't know like the process of doing all the detail and the painting and how, I don't know. I just, in my mind, it's impossible that it could have been this awesome originally. Seems like it's probably better now than it ever was. Then the fact that this turned into like an adult theater at one point, like this place, one of the most beautiful theaters you will find in the country, was somehow an adult theater. But I mean, but like all the old movies that played here over the years, and I know Glennie told me that they found an old reel, and we're just thrilled because I mean, who knew Casablanca? Like, what was
Right.
this film? This was an original. Like, it was an original copy, and so yeah, they didn't want to open it. 'Cause
Imagine the anticipation, like,
yeah, it would immediately be ruined if they opened it at all.
Right.
So they sent it off to be examined and in the lab to figure out exactly what it was, and it was an adult film. It was an adult film, which I think makes the story even better.
it does. It really does.
Even better. I don't know if you believe in ghosts or not. I don't. But anyway, I'm sure there's some in here if they're real.
Yes, I've seen a couple of things, online. Like supposedly there's brooms like to move around or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
But there's no specific,
Yeah.
death or anything.
No, if it's your thing though, there are going to be some ghostly adult stars somewhere around. Wish they would bring back the asbestos, not the actual asbestos itself,
But just the curtain,
curtain.
with the advertisement for asbestos on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was like this. It was so classic. Who knows what you?